Hello, Mr. Amit.
I am audible.
Yes, you're perfectly audible. Hi, welcome to the session. Am I audible?
Hi, very much. Good
Okay,
evening.
great. Good evening. Welcome to the session.
Thank you. Thank you,
So,
everyone.
before we wait for more people to join in, I just want to ask you, what do you expect out of this session?
So I think I'll come with an open mind, and if the way it go, we'll go along with it. But my understanding is we'll try to educate more about financial freedom
Right.
to all our partners who are logged in and they want to understand कि हम कैसे इसको grow कर सकते हैं financially independent for their kids also and less burden on them also so that if they want to take a big call after 12th they should be free to take that kind of a call. So we try to give them a little emotional and financial help whatever we can.
Absolutely, bilkul. Yes. Um, so I guess we have some viewers now. We can begin the session.
Sure.
So, hello everyone who all have joined us. My name is Deeksha. I'm a senior content marketer at EduFund. And the topic for today's session is advantages of having an education fund for your child. As a speaker for today's session, we have Mr. Amit Vashisht with us. He's the head of digital acquisition at ICICI Prudential and holds over 14 years of experience in the mutual fund industry. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you, Diksha. Thank you for such an introduction. So I'm all yours. Let me know how you want to start it.
Absolutely. Yes, we are very much looking forward to having a great conversation with you. But before we jump into the questions, I would just like to introduce a bit about EduFund. So, all of you who are joining us for the first time, EduFund app is India's first investment and advisory app that helps Indian parents, save and plan for their child's education. So, beginning from calculating the cost of their future education to creating a roadmap for their savings to executing the map and reaching the goal. Our experts help them throughout their savings and investment journey, and we have multiple saving options available on the app. So make sure to check out the app once the session ends. But before that, we have an exciting conversation for you all. So don't forget to keep hearing. And also, if you have any questions for our expert today, please drop your comments here. So we can just launch into the questions now. So the first question I have, and I'm sure a lot of parents out there would be able to relate along with you as well, because once you become a parent, बहुत सारे ऐसे खर्चे आते हैं जो कि unforeseen होते हैं, जैसे कि assignments, projects के supplies, school trips and all that, और ये सारी चीजें people often forget to plan in their budgets for their child's education. सो आप कैसे उनको सजेस्ट करेंगे कि ये इन अनफोर्सीन खर्चों के लिए कैसे सेव करना चाहिए पेरेंट्स को?
So great. I think practically also I can correlate, and as well as experience of financial side also I can correlate. So I also have a girl. She's 6.5 years old. So
Oh,
my daughter started
okay.
going to school 3 years back. So it's
Right.
not before projects. It's basically a first time admission cost. So generally people doesn't
Okay.
estimate that fixed cost also. So
Right.
actually, it's not college. It starts at the age of 3.5 years in India. So I think as and when we are blessed with any baby boy, baby girl, financial planning should start from that day, but that particular day. And
Right.
for me, I think the word emergency, which you're using for normal investment, also, we feel you should create an emergency fund. So what I mean by emergency fund is a fund which you can withdraw at any given point of time. It's not linked to any goal.
Okay.
Otherwise, any other investment, it should be linked to any goal, whether for your retirement, for your child education, for your trips. You can make any kind of a goal, but the first goal one should make is emergency fund. So emergency fund is something which you can withdraw at any point in time without any guilt in you, so that you're using this money which was invested for something else. It's not. Emergency fund means something which
Right.
you have not planned and you need that money at any point of time. So one should create a corpus in emergency fund. They can choose any debt scheme. I would not recommend to choose an equity scheme because this money you can need even after 3 months also. So we would recommend to
Right.
go into a scheme which is less volatile. So you can take any debt fund, think whatever whatever your
Okay.
corpus is, start with 2,000, 5,000 and start investing into debt fund as emergency fund.
Right. Okay. Very well said. So, we have talked about unforeseen expenses, but we often get questions from parents whose children are in either ninth or 10th grade or 11th grade, and they ask us questions like, is it too late for me to save for my child's college education? Is it too late for me to invest for their education? Will I be able to, accomplish the goal? So, how would you suggest a parent whose child is in, let's say, elementary school and a parent whose child is in ninth or 10th grade, how different should their approach be when it comes to saving for their college?
Very valid question. So I think there's nothing as called late, but definitely the one who starts early have a much, much better chance to grow their corpus. So first we talk about the
Right.
people, those kids who are in ninth, 10th, 11th or 12th. So my understanding is it's better. I'm sure that if kids in 9 and 10th, you have made some kind of a corpus. It might be a small corpus. So at least invest that corpus into a hybrid funds. Will not recommend to invest into pure
Okay.
equity funds, whether it's stocks or mutual fund, because it's a quite volatile and you need funds anytime after 3 or 4 years. So it's better
Right.
to invest in those kind of funds which are debt and equity, who can balance between those two. So that if you need funds
Okay.
after 2 and 3 years, you can use those kind of a hybrid products. It can be any kind of balance advantage fund, multi-asset funds. These are the category which make sense for people like you to invest into those category. Second thing is, it's not that you need money just after 12th. Because obviously, if he's going for graduation, it can be 3 or 4 years of time period. So you need those funds for
Right.
entire 3 to 4 year period. So if you're investing on ninth, so eventually you need some money after 4 years, some money after 5, 6, and 7. So you have to plan accordingly that if you're investing, invest in a thought process that entire money will not come out of 5 years. It might stay for 7, 8 years.
Right.
So eventually it will keep on growing. So with that thought process, even if you're in ninth, you're not that late. You have a time of between 5 to 7 years to create a good, decent corpus. So that's how the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th can give a thought. Take a hybrid kind of funds, a fund which moves between debt and equity. For other elementary kids between first to fifth and sixth, for them, I would recommend go through an SIP mode because you have a time period of 8 to 10 years, and we have seen a decent 13-14% return kind of a product in equity. 10 years, any decent product give you a 13 to 14% return. So even if you do an SIP
Right.
of 15,000 for 10 years, you can create a decent corpus of 35-40 lakhs, which you can use at the time of higher education. So for those, you can start with an SIP. The people, those kids are 9 and 10, I would recommend put some lump sum on hybrid. Along with that, you can do some SIP also to keep on adding the funds.
Right. Okay. Great. So, there are a lot of parents who still go by the conventional ways of saving. For example, FDs. How how would you like to, sort of counsel them on the fact that, we also have to beat the education inflation rate by the savings we're doing. So, like, what would you like to comment on that?
So we have to understand one thing: the return, anything above one is not a positive return. So अभी तक हम क्या सोचते हैं? We talk about FD. If we are getting 5-6%, so we're thinking we are getting 5-6% positive return. So positive
Right.
return क्या होता है? Any return in which you're beating inflation. So if we again come into a normal layman language, leave aside inflation. You were talking about education, for example. When
Right.
I was in a college, at that time the fees was almost like 60,000 to 1 lakh rupees. Today that same college is asking 8 lakhs. So that almost have increased 7 to 8 times in last 15, 16 years. So that way the education cost is moving almost like 8-9% every year. So even if you're investing in asset जो आपको 6% return दे रहा है, it's underperforming education inflation by 2%. So you are thinking कि आज
Right.
10 lakh rupees में I can get admission, and you're saving accordingly. But when your child reach at that age, the same 10 lakh you need might be 25 lakh rupees or 30 lakh rupees. So at that time you might realize that the assets in which I invested have given me a lesser return. So that's very important.
Right.
Second thing जो बहुत important है, it's taxation. So one should understand if you're investing in FD, if you're in the 30% tax bracket, the return of 7%, you have to pay 30% tax. So which is almost like 4.7, 4.8% you are getting. With the same
Right.
thing in debt mutual fund, you can take an indexation benefit. I am assuming let's suppose FD भी आपको 7% return देता है, debt debt mutual fund भी 7% return देता है. Let's suppose both are same. After indexation, 7 will give you 6.5, FD will give you 4.8. So you're generating almost 25% extra return with tax advantage. Why not we should use those kind of features which is available in the market? Take those as an
Absolutely.
advantage and start taking debt as a category. So that's one thing they can look into it. If they're looking into specifically for investment, take debt mutual fund. I'm not saying take an aggressive call, go into pure equity. Start a baby step, start with debt, start with liquid. Understand how mutual fund works. And then eventually you can diversify into equity or hybrid funds.
Right, no, absolutely well said that when parents start to save for their child's education, they should not consider the current college fees rather than the fees that they will incur once they, they're ready for the college. And for that reason, that's why we have our college cost calculator on our app. So you can, all the parents checking out the live session right now, you can just head over to the app and check out our college cost calculator. It will give you the approx amount based on the number of years your child has till they go to the college. So, coming back to the taxation part that you mentioned, and it's always a very interesting subject for parents as well who are trying to save on taxes and also trying to save for the child's education. So, any suggestions for them?
So first of all, before I answer this question, I just to add on to what Diksha said. The best part about what I've seen this particular EduFund app is you can real time see whatever university you can dream of. Just enter the university and you can get the calculation amount, understanding. So why we feel in this last 15 years, when you start saving, everyone needs a goal. Then only one can save. So they are giving a direction that if you target any particular university, after 10 years, it might be 45 lakh rupees. So you have better understanding right now that you have to save 45, not 30. So that's a superb thing. Do visit and check out that particular thing.
Absolutely.
So now moving to the question on the tax side. So I highlighted on the debt side. Second thing, there is an ELSS feature. So there is a ELSS tax mutual fund in which you can save tax also up to 1.5 lakh if you're investing into ELSS schemes. You get an 80C benefit. So if you fall into a 30% tax bracket, whatever return you're generating, it's a tax-free return. So that's an overall above advantage of normal equity taxation advantage. So that you can take through ALSS scheme. Second advantage in mutual fund, what we have seen is more than 1 year equity funds fall into equity taxation, again a 10% taxation. Second is debt mutual fund. Even if you're taking debt mutual fund and staying for 3 years, you get an indexation benefit. For larger audience, मैं आपको simple breakup करके explain करता हूँ indexation होता क्या है. So let's suppose you have taken any debt fund and you invested, let's suppose 1 lakh rupees. We assume that that product gives you 7% return as a debt fund. So after 3 years, the return becomes, let's suppose, simple analysis 21, compound को convert करोगे तो it might comes around 124. So 1 lakh becomes 1,24,000. Had it been FD, आपको 24,000 पे you have to pay 30% tax, which means 8,000 will move out. You have generated what? Only 16,000 return, which is less than a 5%. In indexation, what we say is, government says, कि जो भी आपने debt return दिया है, government declare inflation every year. So for next 3 years, we assume inflation is 6%. So government says, whatever return you generate over and above inflation, you should pay tax of 20%. So if you're assuming 6% is inflation for next 3 years, if you compound it, it becomes around 121. So you have generated 124, inflation is 121. So you have actual gain is only 3%, 3,000. On 3,000, if you're paying tax, 20% also is 600 rupees, so which is almost negligible against 8,000. So that's the beauty about debt mutual fund. So even if you want to be conservative, start with debt, then you can think of equity and hybrid. We are more than happy to use entire universal mutual fund.
Okay, very well explained, sir, in simplified terms. So we are almost halfway through the session and we have had some new viewers. So all of you who have just joined, hi, I am Diksha from EduFund. EduFund is an investment and advisory app dedicated to help Indian parents save and plan for their child's education. The topic for today's session is advantages of having an education fund for your child. And as a speaker for today's session, we have Mr. Amit Vashisht with us. He is the head of digital acquisition at ICICI Prudential. So, and all of you who have any question related to your child's education and investment for our expert, please drop your questions in the comments below. We'll be taking the questions towards the end of the session. So make sure to drop your questions. So, moving to the next question, as you very well explained, different types of mutual funds and that help you save on taxes. But with your experience in the mutual fund industry as well, you must have come across people, especially new investors, who are often overwhelmed by the choices that they have. They're always confused, which one should I go for? So, how would you suggest how should they choose or decide on a mutual fund scheme for saving?
Great. What we have seen over a period of 10 years, you take any, whether it's ICICI, HDFC, any fund house, if you stick to one fund and stay it for 10 years, we have experienced that every fund have given you much better return than FD. So our target is not to get the best fund. Our target is to generate better return than inflation and better return than FD. So FD is giving you, let's suppose 7%. If mutual fund is giving you 11%, it's okay. Might be a fund which is giving you 13%. You can't find the best fund. Best way is stay invested. So that's the first thing.
Right.
If you enter into mutual fund, stay invested till the time, whatever your goal is. That's the most important thing. Second is systematic. So why we are focusing on systematic? Because equity mutual fund by nature is volatile. Market में उतार चढ़ाव चलेगा चलेगा. So market will move up, market will come down. We can't time the market. SIP में क्या होता है? Market ऊपर जा रही है, you're investing. When market is coming down, you're still investing. जब market नीचे आ रही है, it's like discount. जो आप पहले 10 यूनिट लेते थे, now you can buy 20 units what market is coming down. So that's the beauty about SIP. There is no emotion involved. So whenever you start with an SIP, that's a basic thing so that you can time the market, you can average out your costing, and you stay invested for the long term. In terms of starting on equal mutual fund, I would recommend you should start with large cap and flexi cap funds because small and mid cap are quite volatile fund. They can give you beautiful return sometimes and they can give you a lot of negative return also. So to get a decent experience, you can start with large and any flexi cap fund of your choice. But I would again suggest our industry has evolved. We have now created some of the beautiful products on the hybrid side. So why again I'm focusing on hybrid side? The reason being you can't time the market, but on valuation terms, fund manager can take a call whether equity is expensive or cheap. So products like balance advantage fund, multi-asset can manage equity very well. They can increase equity when market comes down and they reduce equity when market moves up. And beauty about mutual fund is if they're buying and selling, you don't have to pay any tax. So whatever they buy and sell, it's free for you. Otherwise, if you do trade on a daily basis, you have to pay taxes, long-term, short-term capital gain on the mutual fund, on the stocks, which is not there in this case. So start to SIP, one in pure equity fund, one in hybrid fund. Choose yours, any category you want of equity, flexi cap or large cap, balance advantage or multi-asset, any fund on the hybrid. Two funds, start investing. Because we have seen in last 35, 40 years, the one thing which return is emotional things. It's not about return, it's about emotion. Sentiments. So when market comes down, whatever bullish you are, if market keep on continuing for 6 months, there's a high chance we have seen you stop an SIP. So that's why you want two kind of fund. One is a hybrid fund who will give you a stable return. One is a pure equity fund which will give you a much volatile return, but over a return package will give you a decent 10 to 12% return, which is again far better than any FD, 50% more than FD with equity taxation. So that's what my suggestion. Start to SIP, stay invested. That's a basic understanding of the product.
Absolutely, yes. Start an SIP, and to all the parents who are seeing this right now, you do not have to have a lot of money to start investing. You can start with as much as 500 rupees per month as well. So yes. Another big stigma around investment is always that ये बहुत risky है, risk नहीं लेना. So what do you have to comment on that?
So after seeing what happened to some of the banks also, without risk the life of कहीं पे भी नहीं है. Even FD says save up to 5 lakh. But nevertheless, I again want to highlight the best part about mutual fund is diversification.
Right.
So you buy any mutual fund, your portfolio get diversified into multiple stocks in equity, in debt also into multiple papers. So your risk is diversified. So what happens, even if two stocks doesn't do well, there are other 28 stocks. So portfolio is quite diversified. The risk is for automatically get, if you buy a stock, the risk is very high. If you buy a mutual fund, it's almost 40 stocks. The risk has already came down. But obviously, if you want to generate a better than inflation, you have to take some kind of a risk. So, but on SIP, I again explain you, market volatile hai, market niche jayegi, upar jayegi. If you're buying an SIP, you again mitigating the risk. Diversification mitigate the risk. SIP mitigate the risk of volatility. Long term mitigate the risk of loss making. So any SIP of 7 years have never given a negative return. Any kind of equity mutual fund at whatever time you want to take it. So that's the beauty about long-term SIP. We have seen 2008 when market had fallen 40%. We have seen 2020 when in 3 months market had fallen 40%. At that time also 7-year SIP was giving you a positive return. So that's the beauty about SIP because you're buying on the dips. So this way you can mitigate the risk and over a long period of time you can generate a far better return. So I just again want to highlight, when you go to the gym, it's basically the first 15 minutes of getting outside the bed and reaching to the gym. That's a pain you have to face. Once you hit the gym, you definitely start enjoying it. Same thing, whenever you start, first few period is something which is a very painful period. But that period, if you pass on, you'll start enjoying it. Trust me, if you stay invested for 3 years now, from 4th year, you don't need any kind of a guidance. It's that simple. Most boring thing is investment. Just invest and sleep. If you become a trader, read any article, 99% of the future option traders make losses. So become a simple investor and stay invested.
Right, absolutely. And once you start reaping the benefits, you would not want to stop.
Exactly.
So, a lot of parents now want to, not just parents, but children also aspire to study abroad, US, UK, Canada. And looking at the rupee depreciation scenes that are happening nowadays, abroad education is becoming more expensive by the day. So how would you suggest those parents, when they're thinking of saving for their child's abroad education, how should they sort of, plan the entire saving?
So again, as you highlighted about mutual fund is again a diversification. So why we say diversification? Because don't put all your eggs in a single basket. So if it breaks up, all your eggs will get destroyed. So that's why create your basket. I'm talking about equity mutual fund. I'm talking about debt mutual fund, which is very good. But as Diksha highlighted on currency side, so it's not that currency is depreciating from last 15 years. The currency will further keep on depreciating. The logic behind depreciation is simply the gap between US and India. So US inflation for 50 years is 2%. India is 6%. So we are 4% higher than US. So automatically our currency will depreciate with 4 to 5% on an annual basis. It can be volatile. Some year it can be 10% negative. Some year it can be positive 2%. But overall you will see a negative trend. So eventually we have to assume if we need dollars after 10 years for higher education, the dollar will not be at 80. Might be 120, 130, I don't know, but it will depreciate with the 4 to 5%. Now, how to mitigate that kind of risk? We can take some international funds also. So you can invest in the US market through any of the funds available in the industry. You can use any US blue chip fund, NASDAQ fund, any fund you can find. Invest in some portion of your investment into international equity also. There are a lot of funds you can find that on EduFund side as well. So that mitigate your currency risk also to an extent because you get participating in the dollar. So those as asset class, you can look into it as an investment option.
Right. Yeah, well said. If you want to save in dollars, invest in dollars. So this one last question I have for you as a parent, once you started, financially supporting your child for their education, what were some of the greatest learnings to you as a parent that you would like to share with our audience?
So the best part about Indian culture is from the day that you're blessed with the kid, your family members will also give you cash or anything on any functions.
Right.
So what I did is, the first thing I did is I opened an account in my daughter's name. And whatever any anything in kind, I used to put into that account.
Okay.
So I started creating that corpus from day one, and that corpus automatically I have. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Right. Sorry. Uh,
Yeah.
So that corpus, I started moving into mutual fund. So I started an SIP when she was hardly 3 months old, and now it's 6 years. So the SIP is running from last 6 years now. That one corpus
Okay.
I've created. So I think try to start saving as soon as possible. It can be into bank account also, but
Right.
to open an account, try to get as much funds as you can add into that account, and eventually you will develop a habit of savings. So that's one thing
Right.
you can develop as a habit on the saving side. Second thing, obviously, we learn a lot of things that you should put a piggy bank at your house. Try to create those kind of environment within your family so that they can understand how
Right.
important saving is. Of course, we can get a lot of examples. It can be anything. For my daughter, her first love is Goa, so she loves beaches. So
Okay.
whenever you have to go, she creates a piggy bank. She creates a fund, and
Okay.
she said, "Papa, now funds have created. Can I fly?" So you just can create anything around for that so that they can understand what's
Right.
the value of money. So that way we can create those things within our kids also on our side. Anything, whatever income you get, try to save those in account and then can invest into mutual fund or any asset class you feel like. But start investing.
Absolutely. Very well said. Start saving as soon as possible and whatever amount is possible for you, and also teach your children money habits and how important it is to save if you want to use the money in the future. It was a great conversation with you, Mr. Amit. Thank you so much for joining, and I am sure that our audience was able to get a lot of insights from your answers. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.